last week. We're not going to call it a filler episode. Uh, we're going to call it a short setup. So the first thing that you guys did was you made a lot of cups. We spent about 30 minutes determining
About
how to
100.
make the cups for this bar. Didn't quite get them all branded in time, and I'm not sure that they all got made actually, but you did make a good amount of cups. I'm not sure how many you have anymore because I think you were giving them away, but you did it right this time. You had the kids go grab their friends who you wanted to make staff for the big day, the triplet elves, and their sham player friend, who you offered to pay with tips and to pay with a hot meal and something else. I don't remember, but it wasn't very much. You interviewed and hired them both. Then you slept through the night. That was the first 2 hours of last episode.
A lot of strategizing.
It was. I was like, at what point is the bar going to open?
I'm
pretty sure the bar opened
the first
with-
2 hours.
The bar opened
You
with
did.
30 minutes
To be
left
fair,
in the
you
session.
definitely did.
Yeah, so you slept through the night, real quick long rest, and then Bodhin took Swidley and Jinx to the parade, Salem Salashas, or whatever that is. You saw the City Watch, Captain Zord, and the Sea Maiden's Fair. You saw Xanathar's mechanical beholder. And while there, you funneled a lot of people to the bar. You were as charismatic as you have ever been in your life. While at the bar, the load on the plumbing was too great, and Kok and Ursus ran around trying to fix it. They eventually did, applied a little Band-Aid to it, and then while that was happening, you found shit-covered bags on the porch, which Bodhin stamped out and made shit fly everywhere. Rainier went ahead and prestidigitized them, but that's still something that had to happen. And last, at the very end of the episode, the foundations of the bar were rocked by an explosion just south of the bar, and that's where we ended. So we are going to start there tonight at the Leaf and Vine. As you guys can see, I have upgraded my commoner tokens.
They look great.
Oh, damn.
They look great.
Is that Nicole Kidman?
I left this one here because it still looks like commoner, but they all used to look like that girl. Now they don't. But yeah, so you guys are back at the bar. It had cooled down a little bit, enough that a lot of people had left by that time. Basically, all the commoners have left, and you find yourself with a much less crowded bar, but still with a few pockets of people here and there. Bodhin, you're standing at the door trying to figure out how to get the shit off of you, and you all hear this giant explosion from the south of the bar. Now I'm going to need you all of you, to roll 2 dex checks.
His dice hit my dice.
5, 12, 4.
Hold on a second.
Come on, you guys.
11.
23 and 10.
That dice actually covered up my decks, so I couldn't roll. Ugh.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I wasn't there to see what it was for, but I'm sure it was for something very important.
Yeah, it was.
What was that? I don't
Okay.
remember.
So when you guys hear this explosion, what are you doing?
I fall. I think.
I think I stabilize
Like-
myself in the doorway as I'm trying to greet people. I'm looking at everybody to see if everybody's okay, and do I notice anything about any of the people in the bar?
Okay, so go ahead and roll
Okay.
insight. I'll tell you with your passive that nobody really looks like they're hurt. Nothing's like really fallen and smashed into people or anything like that. And you can't really say whether people are psychologically scarred or anything like that. Uh, but you can see that physically, no one seems to have broken bones or anything like that. No one's. A couple people fell to the deck, but they're getting back up. Cox, so you pick yourself up off the ground, and what's your move? What's your move here?
I try to find shit-covered Bodhin in the bar because I saw him running around earlier. See
I'm
if,
still at the door.
if I can spot him.
Yeah, you can see him. You can see him by the door, by the front door.
I just call out and I said, "What was that?"
I said, "Fuck if I know." And I run out the door and I sprint down to the south to check it out.
Okay. So Bodhin is the only one outside. So Bodhin, you step out the front door. This is what you see. What you see around you, Bodhin, is just
Vault?
chaos. It's just chaos everywhere. There are commoners screaming. The streets are in disarray. The cobblestone has been thrown around. You see that the building next to you is on fire. It's in flames, and a lot of it is collapsed. You see a lot of people that are on the ground, and you can't tell immediately whether they're dead or whether they're unconscious, but they're not moving. The nearest that you can see is Rainier. Rainier's the nearest to you that you notice, that you know rather, and Tally and Floon are close to him as well.
Okay, so I recognize Tally, Floon, and Rainier. Those are the only people I recognize. The building across the street, do I know what the building is?
So you know that this one was not like a shop or anything. It was just it was like a residence.
Okay. And it's on fire, and so I assume that that's where this explosion came from. It would make sense to me. That's what the explosion came from.
No, you would specifically assume that the explosion was not. You would assume that the building was ancillary in the explosion. It was in the penumbra. It wasn't necessarily where the explosion was. You can kind of see, but from where you are, like where the scorch marks on the ground are.
Okay.
You can see that this is
Okay.
kind of a trail there.
So I can see that's kind of maybe where the explosion was then.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can piece that together pretty easily.
Okay, and all these people down here are laying on the ground.
Everybody's laying on the ground in this scene.
Okay, so I see that, and I just dip my head back into the bar, and I yell to Kok. I say, I said, "There's lots of people down on the ground. We're gonna need as much help as we can get out here." And then I run back out the door, and I run to see what I see here. And as I come around the corner, I see Jinx. Is that right? Jinx is on
Yep.
the ground.
Jinx
And
is
that's
on the ground. Yep.
And I immediately
next to
run to
Nat.
these two and check to see if they're okay.
You kneel over Jinx and Nat, and you can tell that they are breathing, both of them.
Okay. So would I assume that they are stabilized?
You could assume
Like-
that, yeah.
Mechanically stabilized, but in character, like, do I feel like they need medical attention that I would?
You can roll it, but it's a really low check. It's a 5.
Okay.
So you'll eventually stabilize unless you get 3 like ones in a row
Yeah,
or
so
something.
I'm looking to stabilize them to make sure that they're okay. So
Yeah.
nailed
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So there you nailed it. Glad you guys are better on your medicine checks.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So they're stabilized, but they're still unconscious. They're not going to die on you, but they're still unconscious.
That's good. Okay, so the next person I would check on is Tally. I feel like the kids are okay,
Okay.
and I would run over and check on Tally.
Yeah. So when you touch Tally, you can see that he is breathing at least. So you can throw another check on him.
With Tally, I am actually going to cast Healing Word. And
Okay.
I thought you were gonna let him die.
and I say, life. Breathe life into my friend.
And he like wakes up with a start. He was definitely unconscious. He was heading for death, but you have healed him. And he looks up at you, and he's like, Bodhin?
Tally, what happened out here?
Tally looks at you, and he says, I was walking back to the bent nail, and it was just a huge explosion, like right next to me. I think maybe Rainier was trying to do something. I don't know. It's just an explosion. I don't know. Hey, he seems a little delirious to you.
Shit. Okay, we got to get this sorted out. You think Rainier had something to do with this?
Maybe he was the one that wanted to go outside. I heard him when I was walking out.
That doesn't make any sense. And I look and I see Body over there. And what do I see, Body? What are you doing?
Basically like laying over the body of Squidly.
Oh my
Like as you would
gosh.
imagine, like almost like a mother with her dead child. I'm just like covering him. And then just weeping.
And it just like when I see what's going on over there, it just takes my breath away. And Tally is like, he's saying, whatever, and I don't even really hear it. And I just am looking at Body over there holding Squidly's dead body. And I am stunned for a moment.
And I run up to him and I ask Body Knock. I said, "What the fuck is going on?"
No response. Just covering his body.
I like shake you by your shoulders a little bit. I'm like, "What the fuck happened?"
So I just mumble a bunch of unintelligible words. It's like a kid when they're really crying and you can't really understand what they're saying,
Doing
and I'm just
the
like,
lip thing.
he's the explosion, and then I just go back to crying, and I'm still on him. I refuse to be removed. I won't leave his body. Yeah.
Dang.
I'm trying to make sure that Squidly's like actually. I'm trying to hope that he's still alive. I'm like shaking him and kind of like hitting him on the chest a little bit. And I'm like, Squidly. I'm like hollering at him. And then I like look around, like looking for answers, basically looking around at who's around that I can talk to about what the fuck is happening right now.
So I see him come up to Squidly, and he's yelling, he's panicked, and I snap out of it, and I run over there. And I am checking out Squidly to see if there's anything I can do. What do I notice about him?
You notice that for a tiefling, he is quite fried, very burnt. Most of his clothes are burned away, most of his skin. He's just laying in the street, and just looking at him, you wouldn't know that he is dead.
Ugh. It's a gut punch.
We're talking like massive damage, real death.
Yeah. It's obvious that he's gone, and I've got more of my wits about me. I was stunned before, but I'm on the move now, and I take in that he's gone, and I look across the rest of the crowd and see like what's going on with all of these people. Do I notice anything or anyone that looks significant or significantly interested? Right? Does anybody stand out?
So yeah, looking around, you notice that a lot of these are commoners. A lot of them are people that you've served in the bar. It's hard for you to kind of tell which is which. You can pretty much tell by looking at these people that this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one are dead. As well as this one. And also Flynn. You can tell that this was very obviously the center of the explosion, and that there is really not much of this body left. You can see that this guy here is starting to wake up and kind of rolling around, trying to like crawl a little bit. But everybody else, like this guy, this guy, they're fully passed out.
So I'm looking around just like the damage here, and I'm trying to figure out what happened. Right? Obviously, this is the center of the explosion, but can I tell like what the explosion was? Any of that stuff? Does any of it make sense to me?
Roll Arcana.
Okay.
You're still a little shell-shocked. You're not really sure what's going on. You can tell where the epicenter of the explosion was. You can tell who's alive and who's dead and who's unconscious, but you really can't see anything other than that.
Yeah, so I can't. I don't make any sense of this, and I yell at Tally. I say, Tally, help me get these people back on their feet. And I run over.
So Tally just kind of sits up and he kind of looks at you, and he says, "How?
Don't you know any kind of first aid? What do you do if somebody's hurt around you?"
I'm just a carpenter.
And I just grab his arm and I pull him to his feet.
Yeah, he stands up next to you. His arm is on you. He's definitely leaning on you.
And I tell him, start finding the people that are alive and getting them out of this rubble. And I just kind of shove him like this direction towards where there's people laying on the ground to go get people.
And he kind of like turns around and he's just like, "You mean like Rainier?"
I'll get Rainier. Go help other people.
Oh, okay. And he moves over to this commoner, and he starts half-heartedly dragging the commoner.
Thanks, Tally. And I kneel down at Rainier and work to resuscitate Rainier. I think Rainier's got information, and so I go ahead and cast Healing Word on Rainier as well.
Okay.
Look at those rolls.
Yeah, damn. Look at you. Okay. So he jolts awake and just looks at you, and he says, "Bodhin? What? What's going on?"
You tell me. This is a disaster. What happened? Tally said you were trying to do something.
I came here to meet Dalakar. And he looks around and sees everything that's happened on the street, and he just puts his hands on his face like that. He can't take it all in. He's just like looking around. His eyes are very, very wide, just kind of in shock.
I grab him so that he focuses on me, and I say, "Who is Dalakar?"
And he kind of like shakes himself, and he looks at you in the eyes, and then he leans over and he looks past you, and he points to the body on the ground right there.
And I don't know much about Rainier, do I? I wasn't around.
That is correct. I honestly don't know if you know anything more than like his name, because you weren't there for saving him. Like, I imagine that everybody would have spoken about how they saved Rainier, and how they got like the paintings and stuff when you sold the paintings. So you would be tangentially aware of who he is. You also know that he's, just from living in Waterdeep, you know that he's a major noble.
So he points to that guy, and he's exploded. And I say, "Well, Dalakar is dead. What was supposed to happen?"
I was supposed to meet him here.
What were you doing?
He asked me to meet him here. I don't know. I don't know what he wanted. He wanted to come here and meet me. And so I came out of the bar, and then everything exploded. Delcar's, he was my guardian when my father left.
And I'm angry now. Like, I was worked up, and now I'm getting angry because he doesn't have any answers. And I tell him, get back in the bar while we get this sorted out. And I just kind of grab him, and I take him with me into the bar.
Okay. So you are going to grapple him into the bar, basically? First of all, roll persuasion at disadvantage to see if you can get him to go on his own, because he looked down and he did see Floon dead in the street right next to him.
Is it control? Doesn't matter. They're both sevens.
Nice.
So.
Look at that. Yeah, so he's not going to go with you willingly. He sees Floon, and he says, "Oh my God, Floon!" And he tries to run down to Floon and see if Floon's okay. Yeah. So are you still going to try and drag him into the bar?
Floon's dead. Let's go.
Okay, yeah. So roll athletics. He wants. Oh yeah, he wants athletics. No, he wants acrobatics actually. Damn, look at that. But yeah, he's too stricken. He's too stricken, and you are able to overpower him and drag him into the bar. Kok, you see Bodhin dragging Rainier into the bar past you.
When Bodhin started dragging this guy towards the bar, I suddenly refocused and went back into the bar. And I yell out, "Okay, bar's closed. There's dragons. There's dragons outside. Everybody leave. Thank you for coming to the opening, but there's a tyranny of dragons outside. You guys need to go." And I try to usher everybody out of the bar.
Everybody, as soon as you say there's dragons outside, starts screaming, and they run to the bar immediately. You may remember that Waterdeep is charmed to not allow dragons into the city. And when you say that there's a dragon outside, everyone thinks that there's a dragon outside and the charm has fallen. But yeah, Kok screams that there's a dragon in the city. Everybody else screams and runs away because he's not wrong. That's how powerful this blast was. It could have been from a dragon. So yeah, everybody screams out of the bar. There's nobody in the bar anymore, and you two are now alone with Rainier in the bar.
The first thing I do is I check the lockbox and I make sure it's locked.
So I'm holding Rainier against his will. Is he? And I just kind of I slap him, but not like I'm not trying to unarmed strike.
Not an arm strike.
I'm not
Yeah.
trying to take his head off. I'm just trying to get his attention.
Yeah, so you slap him, and he just kind of like perks up, and he stops fighting you, and he just looks at you, and he just says, "Is Floon dead?"
I say, Floon, as well as half of the other people you saw out there. We lost Squidly, and are the two elves in here just like screaming still?
There's no conversation happening right now. We just have
Okay.
we have sirens.
Okay,
We have two sirens
so-
just floating.
They didn't pay Kok any mind.
So they're still screaming at each other. So and I'm trying to get away from them. So I slap him and I take him down into the basement so that we can get away from that because that noise is terrible.
Okay, yeah. So you got Rainier in the basement.
Okay. So we went past
Right.
him while he's looking in this lockbox.
Okay, yeah, so he's looking into a panther-shaped and sized
Shaped,
lockbox.
It's not shaved.
Shape and size? No, I like it better
Not
that way.
shaved.
No,
just
it's
size.
panther-shaped. It's panther-shaped. Yeah, the Avi and Embrick.
they
I like
took
to
it
think
way
that
too
that's
literal.
the way they interpreted it. Yeah, they were like, "Oh,
took
this,
it-
no, he
yeah, they
said
took it
up
extremely
panther
literally. They
lockbox.
said,
I'm
yeah,
certain
they
of
want
it."
they spoke to each other. They're just like, I don't. He said panther.
It is
I'll take
exactly
it.
panther sized because it's shaped like a panther.
Oh, that's incredible.
Right,
You
exactly.
can't be more accurate than that.
Gosh, they're good. Such craftsmen.
So I get Rainier into the
So
basement.
yeah, you drag Rainier down into the basement, past the panther-sized lockbox, and Kok checking the gold with his feathery little fingers.
And I tell him, yeah, as well as half the people you saw out there, we lost Squidly. I said, we lost one of those sisters. You could hear them wailing up here. I said, we need to know who Dalekar is. How do you know him? What took place out there? What did Dalekar want to meet everyone out there for? And does he either have enemies or a reason to be involved in any of this? I need you to focus on what happened before the explosion.
Okay, so roll persuasion. Just straight. So he just looks at you and he says, Dalekar was he was a servant in my father's house. He was and you know that Rainier is a very high-ranking noble, and that he has a lot of servants in his house, and you know that his father was Dagult Neverember, and you know the history of Dagult Neverember, where he basically he tried to, after the destruction of Baldur's Gate, he tried to use a lot of city funds to rebuild Baldur's Gate, and he was ousted as the Open Lord of Waterdeep because it seemed like nothing was getting built at Baldur's Gate, and the city was losing a lot of money. So Laeral Silverhand the current Open Lord ousted him in a coup, installed herself as Open Lord, and he is now on the run. Daggle never.
And that is Rainier's.
That's Rainier's father. Yeah. And Rainier looks at you and he's just like, Dalakar was a servant at my father's house. My father and I never got along, so when he left Dalakar in charge of my well-being, of my welfare. And Dalakar, he cared for me. He was my valet, and he did what I asked until a few weeks ago, when he left. I don't know where he went. I assumed that he went to meet my father, wherever my father is. But he contacted me through an intermediary, and he said to meet him here today at this time. And so that's what I was doing. And then everything exploded around
Did you
me.
see him before the explosion?
Yeah, I saw him on the street with somebody who looked like a thug and like 3 or 4 other thugs. They seemed to be having an argument. The guy had a scar over his eye, like a big scar like this.
So you saw Dalakar possibly arguing with some thugs, and one of them had a big scar on his eye.
And I walked up to him, and everything exploded. I was with Floon.
And so
This conversation's happening down in the basement, right?
Yeah.
Down in the cellar.
Yeah, this is in the basement. You
Well,
are not here.
Yeah.
and the thugs exploded as well, or had they moved on?
I think at the last second. I don't know. I can't remember. And he just kind of like he seems to get lost in kind of like as
Damn it,
mind
man.
again,
I'd
like a
say
fall.
stay here, don't go anywhere. And I run back upstairs, and I'll
He just kind of yells up. He's like, "Standing in this beer."
say, I don't even acknowledge him. I just run out.
Okay.
I shoot him a look, and then I run out.
I'm just saying out loud what's going on. Why are they doing this? Bodhin, this is I don't know what's going on, but do you want to like help me like push them out? Can we push these girls out of the bar? Help me push them. I tried pushing one of them into the other to try to like push them like they're like little like grocery carts in a parking lot.
Yeah, and they're very light. They're just little elves. So when you push them, they just float around.
Okay, excellent. That's why I try to push both of them.
I see Kok just like pushing these floating elves, and that noise, that just like ear-piercing wail, and I just run out the front door.
The 3 of you kind of like meet at the
Mhm.
front door. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I should say the 6 of you, Bodhin, Kok, and you kind of run into each other.
I'm gonna help him.
Kok
too.
is
I'm gonna
pushing.
too. I probably think it's a good idea to help.
Oh,
him
you're
carry
okay. So
Squidly inside.
all right. So everybody meets on the front step here, and you kind of have like a little log jam getting through the door. At least three non-moving bodies and 4 actually moving bodies trying to get out the same door.
Wait, Ursus, did you just leave Althea's body there?
I'm more concerned about Squidly right now. I'm helping carry Squidly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you guys kind of have a log jam. Everybody's carrying someone else. Bodhin's trying to get through.
Yeah,
You
I
guys
was
like-
really determined to get out with this information, and I have to figure out what's going on. But when I see them walking in with Squidly, I'm just like, I'm gut punched again, and I'm immediately trying to find out what they're doing with Squidly, and I kind of, am back on my heels now and getting out of the way to figure out what they're doing.
And I'm continuing just to push him out, and I kind of see him in the corner of my eye, even though my eyes are bleeding. I see Body Knock holding Squidly, and it's almost too much to process for me. So I just keep pushing, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So it's all really loud.
So you are able to get these two elves out the door, and you make it, past everybody and into the street. They're still screaming, but they're now screaming in the street and not in the bar.
And then I look back at Body Knock and Squidly. I try to get away from the sound now, so I go back into the bar.
And you can hear the sound kind of fading, with their air hockey puck movement. You guys have made it into the bar. Squidly's in the bar. Everybody's around him now, unless you wanted to be somewhere else.
I just start brainstorming out loud. I'm like, okay, so the cleric, the one who brought back Kok. I think Squidly would be fine as a wood elf. He would do fine as a wood elf. It's only 1,000 gold. We could scrape up 1,000 gold. I'm just brainstorming and rambling, anything that I could think that might save Squidly.
Yeah, so I just run in and I place him on the top of the bar. And I are you saying that out loud or just thinking it to yourself?
I'm saying it out loud, but not really to anyone. I'm
okay.
I'm just overwhelmed and just it's vomiting out of my mouth.
So
kind of.
I overhear that because the same thoughts are passing through my head, and I just yell, call the cleric, and then my mind fully processes that Squidly's he's dead, and then I just throw up. I just throw up right there. I just get sick.
I say 1,000 gold. Man, we don't have 1,000 gold. I don't know how we're gonna get that. And I just kind of shake my head and realize that I'm getting sucked into this distraction is what I'm recognizing it is, and I run out the door. Really. Now I've changed my mindset, and I go to grab the other two kids, and I want to bring them in the back door, bring them into the bar.
Okay, yeah. The back door's right there, so it's not very far, and you can drag those kids in. No problem.
I drag them in and kind of bring them into the bar where everyone can see them. So we at least have those kids.
Okay, I see Bodhin kind of getting into the scene from the corner of my eye, so I turn to him and I say that to him. I say, I think it was a fireball shot. It wasn't a dragon. I think it was just a fireball.
And I say, find the thug with the big scar on his eye, and I'm just running with this information that I have from Rainier. I'm looking for anything that looks like a thug and somebody with a big scar on their eye.
Yeah, you spot him immediately. It's that guy right there.
Crawling.
And he's crawling away. He is awake enough to see that things are happening around him, and he's trying to get away from them.
Yeah, and I'm like, you. I go over and I grab him and I say, what did you do here? Who sent you?
I said, Bodhin, bring him to the bar.
And I ignore Kok, and I just got this guy.
He just looks at you. And he just kind of blinks a little bit, and he says, I didn't do anything. I'm Erstal. Erstal Floxen. He's definitely still shell-shocked. He's kind of looking around, very disoriented.
I say, what were you doing here with Dalakar?
He looks around and he says, I was going to the bookworm's treasure, and he points to a sign, a storefront that's right in front of you. The bookworm's treasure is this one right here.
I kind of shake him a little bit. I said, I didn't ask you where you're going. I said, what are you doing here, and what was your interaction with Dalakar?
I don't know who that is. I was just doing some
And I kind of grab him
shopping.
by the hair, and I just point his head towards the center and the corpse, and I point.
Who is that? Who is that?
This guy.
I don't. You'll let me go. What's happening?
And I look and I see, what is Kok doing? Well, I'm clearly mad at this guy.
I walked over. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Bodhin, take him to the bar. We'll question him at the bar.
I say, all right, and I start dragging him.
Yeah, he is definitely going to try and resist that. He only is starting to resist it like around this area, and so you could drag him that far, and then he is going to basically start contesting.
Okay.
So you want to keep dragging him after he starts contesting. It's an acrobatics check. Oh no, athletics. I'm
Can
sorry.
I do either, or do I have to do athletics?
No, if you are grappling, it's only athletics. If you're trying to get out of a grapple, it's acrobatics or athletics. Yeah, so he is still dazed. He's still unable to get you off of him, and you're able to drag him over the threshold of the bar before he really starts putting up a fight.
So we got him into the bar.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I see him, I'm like helping. I jump in, try and help him, pull him in.
And when you come, as you're coming over to me, I say, I don't know who this guy is, but he has something to do with what happened out there. He's got information. I'm certain of it. Rainier said that he was struggling with Dalakar, and I just start rambling like all the stuff that Rainier was telling me.
And he sees that he's a little outmatched in the bar, and he just kind of starts like looking at you guys, and he says, all right, look, I must have been hallucinating. But just after the explosion, I could have sworn that I saw like a mechanical angel of death moving among the bodies. I thought he was gonna come for me next, but he just turned and he ran away.
And he's saying crazy stuff. I'm like, does he look like he's saying something that he thinks is true?
Yeah, roll insight.
I would be surprised if he's making it up, but I'm giving him like the eyebrow, like, what in the hell?
So you can tell that he doesn't seem to be trying to lie to you, but his body language is obviously very aggressive and defensive, like posturing. So it's hard to tell what he actually means, but it seems that he was telling some of the truth, at least with a mechanical angel of death. He believed it anyways.
So this angel of death, what is it? And what did you have to do with it? Where did it come from? What do you know?
He says, I don't know where it came from. I was just talking to a man in the street, and then there was an explosion, and I got blown away, and I saw this. I saw this clockwork man come and grab something from the body.
From which body?
From the body that got hit with the fireball.
God damn. And I don't know what to make of it, and I just say get. I'm like, get in the cellar, and I take him. I'm like, I don't know what to make sense of this, and I take him to put him in the cellar with Rainier.
We're just using the cellar as a jail now.
It's just kind of my like holding. I can't process like what's going on, and it's not making sense, and I'm like just trying to get like a holding cell for things that I think are significant to what happened.
All right. So you are all now in the bar with Bernier and Ursula Floxen in the basement.
When I bring Urstel down to Rainier, does Rainier react at all as I'm like dragging Urstel to him?
Dice jail.
Rainier is mostly focused on the 3 inches of beer that he's standing in. He doesn't really notice much, but roll insight.
Fuck.
Yeah, so you don't really notice whether they know each other or not.
So I'm gonna go down in the basement and not notice that anybody is down there and make for our secret hiding place of money. And I'm looking for 1,000 dragon.
Okay. And so then I just ask. I'm like, Rainier, is this the guy? And I like kind of push him into Rainier.
And Rainier looks at him and is like, "Oh yeah, oh that's the guy." And Ursula just kind of looks at you guys and he's just like, "What are you talking about?"
I'm like, I don't know what to think of the two of you. And I start tying them up.
All right, yeah, roll sleight of hand for both. Rainier, Urstel. Okay.
So I've counted everything that we have downstairs, and I come to the conclusion that we do not have nearly enough money. So I run upstairs.
I'm in just like preservation of information mode in hopes that somebody else can help me sort out what is happening.
So would you say that you have kind of calmed down a little bit, or are you still like freaking out?
I would say I'm focused on trying to find out what's happening, but I'm pretty like, I'm like, okay, this guy's important now, and I bring him in. I'm like, all right, this other guy was important. That's the information I have. And then I asked him a question, and I can't tell if like they know each other. He's like, that's the guy. This guy looks confused, and I don't know what to make of it. And I don't know what to ask them, and so I just start tying them up. I'm like, all right, well, you two stay here, and I just and I don't trust them. So I wouldn't say I'm super calm. I'm not making really great decisions, but I'm like really narrow-mindedly or narrow vision, just trying to hold on to whatever information we have. I'm just collecting stuff that I think is useful, and I'm making it stay where we have it.
Yeah, so go ahead and make a history check with disadvantage.
Okay.
Because you dumb.
Yep. Yeah, it's not going to go well. Yeah.
For someone dumb, you did some really great planning.
Yeah, so you are still kind of buzzing around. You have, you are not remembering anything about anything at this point.
What do you roll? Oh my god.
Yeah, I got a 0.
I've never seen a 0.
Yeah, he got a 0, and he would have had a 5 if he didn't roll a disadvantage.
If I was a little calmer.
I think you can't even spell history.
And I come flying out of the basement, and I'm just like, I've been running on adrenaline, and I'm I don't really know what I'm doing, but I am moving, and I don't know. What do I see when I get up here? Are you guys moving somewhere? He's casting.
Yeah, I'm picking Squidly up. I'm carrying him out.
Oh, you're bringing him
Out-
with you?
Yeah, I'm taking him to the cleric.
Oh yeah, we're going.
You got
And we're going right now.
Kok is not going with you.
We don't give a shit.
All right, so you hear this happen, Bodhin. You hear that Kok isn't going, but the other two are. Are you gonna stick around and investigate more? Or are you going with the to the cleric?
I say to them as I see them kind of leaving, I'm like, do you need me to come with you? Because I'm looking for answers. I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm asking them, and I feel like everybody's, smarter than I am. And I'm trying to figure out what they want from me or how I can help.
I ask Bodhin, I say, do you have 1,000 dragons?
No.
I said, then what good are you? Stay here.
And I don't
Yeah.
even
So
hesitate. I say, okay. And I look at Kok and I say, I'm going back out there. And I run back out to the wreckage.
Wait,
I shout to Bodhin as he's going out. I'm like, find who did this. Find them.
I also shout to Bodhin, I'm like, what's going on in this cellar? Why do you keep popping up out of the cellar?
I hear body knocked and it just clicks in my head. I'm like, we will bring whoever did this to justice. And I'm out. And I
Oh,
ignore whatever Kok says.
He's on the pursuit of justice now.
Time for some of that tears
Yeah.
justice.
Whoever did this
I
is
clench my
fucked.
holy amulet.
Detective Bodhin is on the case.
And I feel like that helps me center myself. I'm a little bit more calm. And I nod to body knock and I clench my symbol and I run out to the wreckage.
So, Bly and Evan, you guys are going to the clerics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You grab Squidly's body. You know basically where Petey is, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where you're running, I assume. So
Exactly.
you and Bodhin are kind of like running together, except you're running way slower than he is. So he's just kind of like running around like this. What's going on out here? And you guys are like, we gotta get to the fucking boat. Get to the boat.
I am looking for any trace of what any trace of anything that would give me some kind of a direction, right? Like I'm looking, did this blast, have any kind of, are things kind of blown in like a direction that would let me know that it came from somewhere else? I'm looking to go somewhere and hoping that there's something here that helps me identify a direction.
Okay. So you're basically looking for tracks.
I'm looking for tracks would be good if it was, if I don't know, if the fireball came from like a side, does it like push things, away? Is there anything, tracks, something that would show me what's
So the way that the weave works and the way that the fireball works is that spellcaster commands the weave to create fire in this area.
okay? So it's
right?
not like a traveling.
So it's not like it's a and even if it were, that would be like a necklace of fireballs, which would be tossed, and then wherever the bee landed, then it would explode. So that's not exactly what it would be looking for.
Okay.
But there are a couple of these people here that are starting to kind of roll around. They're starting to get up a little bit. You're not going to be able to find any tracks because there's just been a mob of people all day long, and there's still a crowd here just kind of circled around where this is happening.
I'm determined to find who did this. I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm just running around. I'm just running around, and I don't know what I'm looking to find people. I'm just looking for something to like hit me in the face. Like I'm gonna know it when I see it, and I don't see it yet. So
Okay, so these two people are waking up. The others are dead. But those two are kind of like waking up now. Tally's gone. Bloon's body, the elves.
so I
The
guess
elf is
I
not
guess I
found.
start. I'm investigating all the bodies that are on the ground. Like, what do they look like? Do they have anything on them? I'm looking for clues and whatever they might have on them.
Oh, you're pillaging bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of these are commoners. They don't really have that much. They just have commoners, clothes, frocks, and it looks like this body may have had some sort of finer livery around it, but and like some daggers and stuff that didn't burn up in the flame, but most of that body's gone.
All right.
Everybody else is just kind of burned up, except for the bodies that are still not waking up from unconsciousness. There are throngs of people around that are just discussing the destruction and everything, talking. You can hear, and you can read the lips of all sorts of people that are just like, "Did you see it? Did you see it? What did you see? What happened here?" And that sort of thing. And if you spend some time, then you can probably pick out, with your like reading lips, you can probably pick out some people that knew what was going on or saw something.
I think that's what I would be
or
doing,
something.
is trying to figure out. I'm looking at all the people, and I'm really trying to find somebody to pin this on, because then I could bring them to justice. And so I'm kind of watching everybody and listening and trying to find out what I can figure out.
Yeah. Okay. So as you're going into this trance, you're just like,
I am vengeance.
give me a history check straight. Yeah. So you're just kind of like looking around. You don't remember anything, and you can't really put anything together. But when you look around at the lips, you see someone that says "Clockwork Man."
I do remember that. And I just beeline for that person.
It's this nice young Eluskan lass with an eye patch on.
Yep. And I just interrupt anything that they're talking about. And I just say, "What do you know about the Clockwork Man?"
As she looks at you, she says, the Clockwork Man? That's what threw the fireball."
Where did it go?
Where is he?
She says, "Oh, it ran up the alley there," and she points to the alley directly north
And
of
I
her.
just bolt in that direction. Like dash. I'm like 90 movement speed. I just run in that direction.
Yeah, you go out to the other side of
Which alley was it, this way?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, you get out to the other side, and when you get to the other side, you just see crowds of people walking around. It's Salem Shasala, so people are hanging out, like drinking in the streets. There's a parade that's still going on.
There's a parade going on. Okay. Oh, I did not mean to click that. So I'm not trying to intimidate anyone.
Yes, you scream into the street, where is she? And nobody knows. Everybody just kind of looks at you like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
So when I get here, right, I'm looking around and I don't see anything. Do I see anything immediately that would tell me like where this clockwork man went? I imagine it's just lots of people, right?
There's so many people around today. There's no way you're gonna find a trail.
So I just run out into the middle of the crowd and I hold up my holy symbol, and I use my channel divinity for orders demand. So it says, I'll just copy and paste it here.
You channel divinity?
He's a cleric.
And I say,
I thought you were a monk.
by the wisdom of Thaindir, and as a sacred fist of Tyr, tell me where the clockwork man went. And I attempt to charm everyone within 30 feet of me if they fail a saving throw. And I'm just like trying anything I can to get information out of all the people around.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely some people are gonna fail this.
Yeah,
There's like a
saving
bunch of
throws that is.
like a lot of people around. And some of them fail it. They look at you, they're like, what? This shit covered monk? I am afraid. And they point you in the direction of like of the west, or no, they point you to the east, actually.
They point me to the east. Okay. They point me to the east, and I find one of them that looks the most confident and competent, and I ask that person, how far?
And he just like looks at you and he's like, I don't know, like a long way. He just ran that way.
And I just run. I just run east until I'm tired or until I find something that makes me think there's somewhere else to go.
Yeah, the trail is cold for sure. It's a parade. There's just a lot of people around.
Yeah, so I just run and I just eventually collapse on the ground and just like on my knees, and I'm like holding my holy symbol and I'm asking for guidance from Thaindir, the Undying Council, Tyr, anybody who will listen. And I'm hoping to everything that I can find out where this is so I can bring someone to justice.
And as you collapse on the ground, we are going to stop for tonight. That's the end.
Man, what a crazy...
It was a crazy session.
It was a crazy session.
Brutal, dude.
It really
Hit me in
was.
the gut.
And like I can't think of another session like to my memory, like even before Brandon joined the group, where we were so consistently just like in different places the entire time.
Yeah.
Well, shit hit the fan and everybody just like...
It did.
We all clearly have different priorities.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, Josh, for managing it so well. Just
Yeah,
like,
well done.
thanks.
I mean,
just
it's not easy.
the presence of mind to just be able to consistently bounce back and forth and know like, hey, these people are in this place. Let's go tune into them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always seem to like know, like, all right, Ursus or Kok, what are you doing now?
Exactly. And you know what was really weird is that every time you bounced back to me, it was like right at a time when I was about to be like, look, here's what I'm doing now. So it was crazy. It was like I don't even know what to like. I didn't know what to think. It was like you were like, all right, let's go back to body knock, and I was literally on the verge of saying,
I just
This
figured
is-
out
I'm
what I want
doing
to
this.
do.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of heightened emotions in that session, and you kept them throughout the entirety of it. From like the second that I said Squidly was dead, you guys were just like, "What?" And you're like, "We gotta fucking do this now!" And you all went like different places and thought of different things. It was great. It was awesome. It's good to it was good to kind of see where all of your heads were at.